All right, guys, we are live all around, and we have a very, very special event to recap today. Station 3 by the Sea. Some are calling it the best event of the year. Half of New York City came out to Eddie Wharton's house, Seaside, to enjoy literally one of the biggest art gatherings and just like a great community vibe, too. So I'm really thrilled to have you guys on. I know this group is easy, so I said screw it to the script today. This is our script. That's what we're doing with it. For everybody that's in the audience today, I want to encourage you guys to come and check us out on YouTube. We are live streaming this on YouTube. You can grab that from the pinned tweet above, and to also share that pinned tweet so we can get as much turnout to discuss this event, because this one is going to be a blast, guys. We have Eddie Wharton up. He is a data scientist king, as well as doing some freelance consulting across Web3 and just hosting bangers left and right. Thrilled for the next Station 3 by the Sea. We'll have to find out when that is. On the bottom, we got Molly McCutch, who also helped hosted the event. Incredible artist. You guys know her. You know her work. Following that, we have Sinbad the Sailor, the mystery man in the mask in the back, who is a curator, a collector, also doing art installation pop-ups as well. Had a tremendous one in May. And then we have Mateo Purple, the founder behind Smilingness NFT, and Alyssa Stevens, founder behind The Collective and an exceptional drawer as well. Excited to kick it today, guys. Eddie, I heard you had a crazy situation getting these screens back from the event yesterday. What happened, man?
Well, we had a U-Haul and we filled the U-Haul. There's definitely some stuff in the lead up to that, but we get the U-Haul and we load everything in the car. I call my dad, and this is after like 8 days of living on Long Island with him, and like we keep extending a day, another day, another day. And I go, "Hey, Dad, like goodbye." And literally, as I'm saying that, I hear in the background like the keys in the ignition, and it's like, and like it just keeps making this noise, and it won't start, and it won't stop making noises. And so I like immediately call my dad back, and I'm like, "Hey, Dad, we're still here." I take back a goodbye. And so I was like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours later. There was probably the funniest moment of that is we're on the phone with U-Haul, and we hear the technician is looking at the car in the back just go, "Oh shit." He hasn't like told us anything about his like diagnosis of the car. And so Sinbad tells the U-Haul person, he's just like, "Well, our technician just said, oh shit, so this doesn't seem promising for leaving." And she just started laughing, and she's like, "I'm sorry, that's not professional." But we eventually got here. It was like, I don't know, 5 hours later.
How did you guys find the technician? Was that just like somebody that was local to you, that like a mechanic that came out?
Yeah, it was like somebody that U-Haul sent.
Gotcha. That's funny as hell. I want to ask, and I feel like this is a good question to that kind of like encapsulates the event. Who is more composed in this particular situation?
We were actually both really composed.
You guys are both.
Sinbad was like, "Let's just listen to like some country music and enjoy the vibe." And it's like, yeah, cool. we took it pretty well. There's been a lot of stressful stuff thrown at us that we feel like we've done.
You guys had a ridiculously stressful week. I saw you guys grinding just like weeks leading up to this. But yeah, Sinbad, I can definitely see Sinbad. I feel like Sinbad likes just like appreciating the moment and making the moment chill regardless of what's going on around him. I could see him kicking back with like a glass of whiskey and country music despite the U-Haul circumstances.
It was fairly close, that's for sure.
It was really what?
Sorry?
It was really what?
It was like that, yeah. I grabbed a White Claw from the cooler, and I said, "We're going to be here for another 2 hours. I might as well just have one." We had to be here by 4 p.m. and it was like 2:30. There was no chance we were going to make it unless I like Fast and Furious drove all the way over here, and I'd never driven a U-Haul, and I'd never driven in New York. So that was not a risk I was willing to take yesterday.
Yeah.
So I had to take a call in the car while it was pouring rain. But yeah, it was a fun experience yesterday.
This sounds like it sounds like a funny one. I don't know.
I crushed that call too. He crushed that call. It was like pouring rain. We're in the middle of the LIE. He's driving a U-Haul for his first time, and Sinbad just like closed it. Like he just rocked that call. I was very impressed.
Closing deals left and right.
Yeah.
Sinbad, do you feel like the mask gives you superpowers, man? Like, do you throw the mask on in private when you like need to get shit done?
No, I don't think so. I only really wear it when I host events.
Yeah.
When I'm not the host of an event, I typically don't because it draws a lot of attention.
I hear that. Definitely get it. I think on my screen it's the right side of the mask. I don't know if like screens are flipped, but that right side of the mask is really interesting. How did that come about, guys?
Well, I had this idea. I typically wear a mask for those who don't know. As I said, when I host events, and I picked it up when I lived in Italy. But I had this idea for this event to have an artist that was participating in the exhibition to design my mask. And Alyssa Stevens was right to my left, maybe on the right if it's on your screen. I asked her if she could design my first mask, and this will hopefully be the beginning of a tradition where every exhibition I host, a participating artist will design my mask.
I think that's a sick tradition. And like excited to see the collection of masks that results from that. I feel like we've mentioned this before. Just we are live streaming out of Station 3, guys. Shouts out to Station 3, amazing co-working space that also hosts events and just like a crazy culture here where there's a lot of creatives, artists, startups, everybody building here in Web3. So definitely want to highlight Station 3. But here at Station 3, there's always talk of like the next events that are brewing. And I feel like there's been a mentioned idea of like a masquerade party. And Sinbad, I feel like you with this concept could really lead that, man. That could be sick.
Yeah, I think that would be very interesting. I haven't heard it, but that would be really cool.
Hell yeah. But Alyssa, any quick thoughts? How were you when you drew this? Were you just like flowing? Did you have ideas that came to mind immediately, or was it really just off the cuff?
Well, I like kept putting off doing it by accident because I was going home for the weekend. And so I got back and I was like, I really have to just start this. And I kind of just, I don't know, I feel like I've been creating a lot of art like in that style of just like line work, stream of consciousness, kind of like letting it flow. So I just started drawing. I actually have some videos of me making it. I'll send them to you, and I'm going to probably post them soon. So yeah, I think it was the night that I was really hyper and I was just making a ton of art and I was like in this weird state. So I just started drawing and it just happened and it was really cool. And I really liked the way it turned out, but it did smudge a little bit. That's the only thing.
That's mostly my fault, though.
No, I was smudged before I gave it to you.
It's part of the piece. I feel like every Alyssa night is a creative super hyper night.
No, it was another level because the marker I was using is the one that it's like really toxic, and I was like in this room with this marker, and the fumes were just like a lot, and it definitely made me really loopy.
And it ignited you.
I'm more creative, so whatever.
I hear that. Alyssa's a big one that's like, on signs from the universe. And I feel like when the U-Haul broke, the sign that I saw was that we just have to run this event back next weekend, guys. I was down.
I spent out of the last 12 days, probably 9 of them in Long Island.
Yeah. Might have given you guys a heart attack, but like I would have shown up.
I feel like okay.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you guys, and like Molly, feel free to jump in on this too, because I know you were part of the like hosting and organizing process. What would you guys say was the hardest part about organizing?
Honestly, like from my perspective, was making sure that we stay like we don't go over our limit of how many people can come, because we easily filled that thing up to like over 60 RSVPs, and that was all just through like private invites.
I thought the guest list was so cool. Just like the people that showed up, it was just like banger. I love the word banger. I feel like I use it too much, but it was like banger person after banger person. Huge fan of Ben Scar. Shout out to him, and it was like cool to see him there as well. Great to meet. Brian Brinkman was there. Just like a number of like sick names just across the space, especially here in New York, that we got cool turnout from. So loved how you guys curated that list. But what about you guys, Eddie and Sinbad? What did you find to be the most challenging part? I have a feeling I know what you're gonna say, Sinbad, too.
Go ahead, Eddie.
No, you go first.
No, I have to formulate a thought. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'd say for me, the most challenging part was before having a team. And like when this is just like a dream and like an idea, and I've never done an art event before. And so like that time period before the team, I'd say like there was a lot of challenges that came after. And I would agree with Molly though, that like of the after challenges, definitely one of the biggest was like keeping it keeping it so that it doesn't like overwhelm the house and like my family, and then they don't let us do it again. It was hard to like not invite some people that I wanted to invite. As a lot of friends I had that I didn't invite. It was also then making sure we had enough food, and it seemed like there was more people that seemed like they were going to come towards the end than we thought there was going to be. And so you helped out a bunch with that. Steven has did a lot of people making sure we had enough stuff.
Appreciate it, man. I was just the ice guy. But Sinbad, how about you?
I think I knew this coming in, but I knew the screens were going to be logistically the hardest part. Knowing there wasn't an elevator and that each one weighs about 165, 170 pounds, and we had to take it up a hill, and we couldn't do that until the morning of the event because of weather. So we were really waiting to see if it was going to pour and thunderstorm all weekend, and a little bit of divine intervention let us have a clear day that day. But you got there before we started, and the screens were still not set up, and we were rushing, but we got it done. But I guess in contrast to previous events I've hosted, this was kind of a walk in the park. Not gonna lie.
Nice, dude. I think that's big. On your point, Eddie, I can't imagine you I think it's cool how the idea formulated too. Would love for you guys to touch on that. But I can't imagine you starting to spearhead this by yourself and being just realizing how much needs to be done. It's a cool revelation to just see how this can all come together with a team when you have multiple people working on it and collaborating together. But yeah, Sinbad, what I thought you were going to say on your biggest challenge was the curation. How many artists did we have displayed?
That's a good question. I don't know. I never got a final tally, but we definitely had over 30.
Yeah.
We wanted to build a connection with other artists that were not part of the Station3 community. So we wanted to give a platform to emerging artists in other parts of the world. I think that was a big priority for us. The main goal was to connect our New York City bubble with other people in other parts of the world that maybe don't have access to big opportunities like exhibitions. So we thought this was a friendly community environment where they could, showcase their work in a low stakes setting, if that makes sense.
I love that. I really love that aspect of it. It was cool. I remember shooting some invites out to artists to participate, and everybody, it was big Station3 event. A lot of the NYC art scene coming out. Everybody was tremendously excited that you guys were hosting this, and you were giving them the opportunity to show work amongst this caliber of a crowd. So appreciate what you guys did there. Wanted to go back to the screens though, because I heard Mateo laughing a little bit about it. Mateo, I saw that you got roped into the screen relocation process. How did that go, man?
Which part of it?
Eddie, wherever you want to kick off.
No, nothing.
Driving U-Haul.
I drive the truck, the U-Haul pretty well. Oh, nothing. Maybe mostly the hardest part was the next day of the event to carrying them around, but yeah. I did some exercise. Free exercise. Free gym.
Free gym. Who needs a membership, dude? We just host Station3s by the Sea weekly.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And, Mateo, I also want to call you out, man, because in a good way, call you out because
They do.
at the event, dude, you were styling and profiling. I nominate you and Saul Flores for the two best, I'll say, male outfits of the event. You have to talk about the fit, man. The fit with the glasses, fantastic.
Thank you. No, I don't know what to say. I'm always dressed well. No, I don't know. I just had a few outfits. I didn't know what people were gonna wear. I didn't know the situation, how it was gonna be. I was ready for it.
Do you have I feel like you had glasses on at Soiree Henzo too. Are glasses a big thing for you?
I love these glasses with this yellow lens, make the day beautiful, even if it's sad. Even if the weather is not the best, a little bit of yellow helps a lot.
Mm-hmm. I love your perspective on having one piece to pop.
everybody complimenting the shirt, so I think it worked.
The shirt was like super fresh. Definitely check out the videos that have gone that have been posted about the event to check out Mateo's shirt. Absolutely styling. And shouts out to Saul Flores too, at Saul Flores, I think on X. He had this just like this nice like shirt and like man purse combo. And it was just like, I was like, man, I gotta pull that off at some point. But yeah, that was definitely like fun to take note of, was everybody's fashion sense throughout. Also wanted to ask you guys about the gifts. A ridiculous amount of pieces gifted. I thought that was such a cool concept that you guys did to kind of build relationships for a lot of these artists that are located internationally, like with this really, really cool nucleus of Web3 art that is just tremendously growing in New York. How did you guys think about the whole gift process, and what was it like, you know, kind of either creating those pairings, or how did those gift pairings come about?
And that,
Oh, you ready? You can take lead.
no, this was your idea. You spearheaded it.
Well, I guess the idea started a couple weeks ago. I got back from Spain, and when Eddie invited me to become a part of this, Molly and from Super Eddie and I got together to see the space and start formulating ideas about what we wanted to do. And I think one of the main goals was to build like a true like a community, but also like a relationship between people. And so we started brainstorming ways that we can do this, and I came up with the idea of, you know, artists that were okay with gifting a one-of-one artwork to a collector or another artist that's part of this New York City community. It could be a good opportunity for them to build a personal relationship with them. That's more than just, oh, I showcase my art there. It turned into, oh, now I have a collector in New York City. Now I know someone there, and then hopefully that will turn into something beautiful that's not just a professional relationship, but a personal one too.
Hell yeah. And I also, on the collectors note, I think there were some really cool collectors that popped out. And in terms of building personal relationships, I just found them to be like so down to earth and like humble and like easy to talk to. So I loved like a few of the collectors that I met at the event. But Eddie, anything you want to add there?
Just that it was such an amazing idea that Sinbad had, and he has built so many relationships with so many artists who trusted him that, you know, I think when you can see how it finally turns out, it feels like it's probably worthwhile. But much earlier, it was really based on the trust that Sinbad had built with so many artists. And I know Molly also brought artists, and I think I had one or two, but it was really, I think it ended up becoming really like a centerpiece of the event, and it was just so cool. I'm so grateful we've done that. I feel like we also played a lot with some of the mechanics as it started leading up to it, and we were originally going to just do a pure raffle for everything, and then we started realizing it'd be nice to kind of let some people maybe choose their gift or have some say in it. And then also, I was so inspired the morning of by some of the people that were just kind of rallying and helping without any expectation of anything, but just like they'd come out to have a fun time, and they were spending hours just helping instead. And I was like, you know, I really want to make sure we can thank those people. And it just felt, it felt like if, you know, if people have positive feelings about the gift, it's going to go back positively to the artists. And if people get to choose the gift and they love it, like it feels like it's going to be a win-win-win for everybody. And it felt a huge responsibility for these artists who'd so generously gifted it to like honor that and have it find like a good home and have it, you know, be a positive thing for everyone involved.
Yeah, I loved that aspect of it, because that's exactly how it felt. And like, for example, I believe Alyssa gifted a piece to Bob Lucas, who's the founder here behind Station3. So that was like such a cool pairing to see. Eminent received some gifts from, we received Thermal Bath from at Tommy Quack Studio. Definitely check him out on X, as well as Deepened Impulse by House of Dorsey, which was so cool because there was a couple of House of Dorsey pieces that I took a look at, and Deepened Impulse just like immediately jumped off the page. So very, very thankful there, and shouts out to those artists as well. But shoot, I had another question like that was kind of along the lines of that I can't remember. So I don't know. Somebody else take it away.
Well, I will say that, yeah, I think that the gifting idea, like that's the first time, even though I didn't submit a piece to be gifted. That was the first time I was ever able to like participate in something like that, and also to see how the guests, reacted when they got to get a piece of art by chance. I feel like it just kind of like enunciates like the entire like energy of the event, why we hosted it. It was a really intentional event all the way around, from like Station3 like sponsoring it to being by the sea. I was able to walk away with a one-of-one from just one of my dearest friends who's an artist and one of the most impressive like other charcoal artists that I know. And because I can't afford just like one of his one-of-ones, already, but to now own one, it's just so special. And I don't really know any other event that's ever really done that intentionally. So I think it's kind of also like setting this up to just be very, very successful in the future.
Hell yeah. I also liked how, as you guys said, like, I guess the mechanics of it, I could tell that you guys thought that through, because the way you structured it, where it was like, instead of just one, centerpiece raffle where it's like everything was given at once or raffled off at once. I liked how it was like, we kept coming back, it was like the fountain was always open. Like, we started, I think, with like your announcement and some gifts, Eddie. And then like we listened to your dad play, which was ridiculous, by the way. Your dad, like, just like riffing off of the drum set was insane. We have to cover that a little bit too. But yeah, and then we like kept coming back. It was like there was another round of gifts and raffles, and then Ben at Monster Mike _art on X did a really, really cool thing too. So it's like so much more to talk about. But shouts out to you guys on like just having little mini events throughout the event. Let's talk about the drums, because Akiva nailed it on the drums, Eddie. How was it when you pitched it to your dad? What was his like reaction? Was he instantly just like, I'm in?
Yeah, I mean, he had even said like, he's like, oh, if you need any musical performance, because they do so many musical events there, and that's probably the reason that it like softened the ground for them to say yes. When I was like, hey, can I have like maybe up to 40 or 50, maybe 60 people, like in like a creative community, just come here and just completely rearrange your house and like reorient your life for a while around this. And it's like, because they do lots and lots of musical events. And I mean, my stepmom was even saying, she's like, oh, I don't think we can celebrate like play music on the porch day this year, because they typically do have a concert on their porch. And so it made it, my dad offered, but then it kind of evolved a bunch as we kind of saw what he wanted to do. And like, he's been working on this electrified tambourine now for months. And it felt like it was starting to come out of incubation. And one of the really most special things to me was that seeing artist friends, including Molly, including also just other people just coming like Sinbad, seeing this before the event and getting a preview and connecting with my dad and giving him some of the first kind of feedback out of his lab, and seeing that kind of like the artists who kind of seemed to really understand what he was doing. And like being like, it's a different medium, sure, but like they kind of just saw each other. And I feel like that was one of the most unexpected things to me. That was one of the most beautiful, was I feel like that connection of like creativity. And I don't know, Molly, if you want to talk, or Sinbad, if you want to talk at all about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I'll go back to like the first day that I spent out there with Sinbad and Anne, when we all together decided like, let's actually host an event out here. The whole day was magical and it was very musical. And I, being an artist myself, like I was able to connect with Eddie's dad through his music and just like speaking to him about art. And it was really special. Like, I just knew like, and there had been multiple other things that day that were just like very synchronized with that like energy. It was kind of strange. But, I think that having just like novel music that's also very like, Eddie's dad basically created his own instrument. It's very technologically sound, and it comes through like a lot of science experiments. And so I think that like having that type of musical performance like presented to this type of community that we had out there just kind of like made sense. And you know, it's the type of music and drum playing that really just makes you like think and feel things. And so you know, it was just perfect.
I think it was it's cool to hear you like talk about the first time you met him, Molly, because there was a time where shortly after that, Molly and I were like on a walk just shooting some footage. And Eddie, Molly mentioned to me, she was like, the vibes like with Eddie's dad are like sick. That just like the creative energy there was so cool. And then she was telling me about the music, and I was like really, really looking forward to hear it. And then we finally got to our long-standing Chipotle date at your house, which was a great day, but then like I couldn't catch it there. So it was cool to see it live at the event. But did you put the platform there? Like, has that always been in your backyard, or did you put it there that day?
My dad built the platform. My dad is a man of many talents, and it was like a week before when he realized that the place he originally wanted to play on the beach because he wanted to have the beach backdrop. Then he realized that there'd be too much sand maybe in the instruments and stuff, and so he's like, "What if I built the platform?" And so I left like on Labor Day, or maybe it was the week before. It was the week before, 2 weeks before. I left on like a Monday, and I came back for Labor Day on like Friday, and there was suddenly a platform that there'd never been there. And I've been advocating. I'm pro platform now. It feels like it's a great, it feels like it's a useful addition to the law. But he built that himself.
Yeah, it's because I was wondering, because I feel like I didn't see it when I had gone to your house the first time, but I remember shooting just like a straight up shot of that, and I was like sitting in front of him, and I was like, dude, this view is like perfect. It was just him jamming on the drums, and then like the sea in the background. But I really do think those drums, it's so interesting that he like pretty much invented that instrument. Like I've never seen anybody do anything like that before. And I really think that that is going to inspire a lot of people. When I heard that your dad played the drums, I thought it was going to be just like strictly percussion, but he was like shredding on the drums like they're an electric guitar, man.
Yeah.
But that was
been really beautiful how much people have loved it, and being able to tell him that and having people react, because this is, you know, him taking it out of the lab. And he's worked on this like decades ago, but he's played like another style of, you know, tambourine. And so for him to get to do that, it felt like a natural fit. And that's also why I wanted to show it to people and make sure I wasn't forcing it, because he's my dad. But yeah, and I know Ben also made like that cool piece, Monster Mike.
Yeah, I want to jump to that next. Do quickly before we do jump there, I want to just reiterate that we have the pinned tweet up, and in that pinned tweet, there is a YouTube video link. You can catch us live on YouTube. Look at these pretty faces talking about literally the best event of 2023 in Web3 art, and we're running it back next year. I don't know if Eddie agrees with that. I'm sure he does, but I'm just making the statement to manifest it, because all of these artists here always talk to me about manifesting, and I don't know how to do it right. But nonetheless, want to jump to, yes, Monster Mike _art on X came up with a really, really cool concept. So we'll let you guys talk about it, but I thought that was sweet, and just like the conversations that were had as a result of that, I thought were like amazing, looking at them, listening in on some, and then also participating in my own, and just overhearing some others. But Eddie and Sinbad, do you want to talk about that a bit? You guys are pretty nice, just giving each other the floor.
You can go ahead, because I came in up here.
How did that come about, though? Like, how did when you pitched that to Ben, did he have the idea? How was that whole thing originally organized?
It changed. So Ben came out the weekend before to just hang, and we went kayaking. We just kind of talked about life, and we just kind of had a nice time. And he said, hey, like, you know, I could do some sort of live painting thing. And so that's what, you know, I thought it was going to be, is that he was just going to do kind of a live painting. And then he shows up at the event, and he's like, hey, about this like different idea, like kind of like a twist on it. And I was just like, sure, whatever you want. Like a lot of what we tried to do here was to give people a platform for their own creative vision, and then to just trust them to do what they thought was right with it. And I mean, I thought it was just absolutely beautiful, where he, you know, for people who don't know, he did this 12 panels where each person like sat down and they told them a story, and he painted this panel of that story to capture it. And then, he was done. He had this thing of 12. And I know he was inspired by having seen my dad play the previous weekend and having made a painting of that and sharing that with him and having my dad feel so meaningful. And so he wanted to recreate that. And I know he saw 12 panels on sale, and I know as well he got the 12 panels and he kind of had the idea on the way. And I just thought it was so beautiful.
100% agree. So the first conversation that I think was had was at Caroverse. Caro was talking to Ben, and she came up with this hysterical story about an acorn. And I was just cracking up laughing at it. So I thought when he was looking for stories, he was looking for just random fictional made up stories. And then I found out afterwards that people were giving very deep personal stories. And I was like, oh, that's sick. But I didn't find that out until after I had given my story. So my story was about two birds named Geppetto and Guantanamo that pitched an idea to NASA for them to build bird spacesuits and go to the moon. So kind of aimless, but nonetheless, yeah, I thought I was so happy for Ben because I feel like the conversations that he was having overlooking that sea were awesome, man. It was just really cool people coming up, and I could tell he was just getting to really deep conversations with others, getting to know them. So I love that concept there. But I also wanted to ask Molly. Molly had some cool announcements at the event. I think there's just big stuff coming on Molly's side at all fronts. I don't know what we can talk about or can talk about. So Molly, you tell me, can we talk about that big announcement or no? Or do people just have to keep an eye out for it on X?
I wish. It's killing me. I mean, when I say I've had to keep my mouth quiet about this for 3 months. No, okay, maybe 2 months, 2.5 months. And it originally got pushed back a month. And it's just, it's all this pent up excitement. But I did get an update yesterday that I will be allowed to talk about it next week. Hopefully it doesn't get pushed back. But it was cool to announce that, in person, because I know that nobody was gonna go tweeting about it on social media or something. So it's coming. I'm super excited. I'm super nervous. But yeah, it's on its way.
Let's go. Yeah, I was I've felt your excitement around it. I know how excited we've been for it. So I'm kind of seething right along with you, waiting for you to just be able to let that loose. But so happy for you on that one. And then also ecstatic for you on the other thing that you've been talking about, which I know you'll be working on next week. And we were talking about it a bit this morning. I know that one we can't talk about yet, but so just happy and proud of you for having that idea and bringing it together. I think that'll be sick.
Thank you, bro.
Absolutely. And there was a little game that Alyssa, Molly, Saul, and I were playing as we were overlooking the sea towards the end of the evening. And it's a game that other friends have mentioned back in college to me, and it's called Peaks and Valleys. And you essentially, say your highlight of a particular moment, or you say your valley of a moment. We'll skip out on the valleys because who cares about those? But I want to get everybody's peaks of the event. And I'm going to kick it to Mateo first. What was your highlight of the day?
To be honest, I will say when I present myself and my art.
Oh, and we have to talk about that too. Actually, can you talk about that?
I don't want to sound
rolling by the sea, man.
But I feel like I did a nice job for the first time. So
yeah, amazing job.
So yeah, this was my peak, my best moment of the event.
I thought it was cool because you had this table set up right by the water, and people just kept cycling to that table, man. It was a little reprieve almost, where people can kind of just go and create with a few intimate friends close to them before bouncing back to the party. But what did we have going at that table with Color by Number, man?
Yeah, so it's, if you're on video, you can see my last piece is a Color by Smiling, and you can see, I mean, this is the original one that I actually had display at the event, and I give the opportunity to the people to color his own their own smiley. So there was a pencil, crayon, or a marker, and nothing. It was nice to see their interpretation of others coloring the smiley.
Yeah, it was cool to see as that like towards the end of the night. I remember just like walking over to the table by myself. And it was cool to just see like how that table developed because I guess it started with a bunch of blank pieces of paper or uncolored pieces of paper. And then that table was just vibrant as hell.
Yeah.
So that was a sweet aspect that you added there.
It was a nice thought for like when you needed like a moment for yourself or like, you know, a bit of chill from the event, from the party. It was nice.
I thought it was just so wonderful when I talk about like people coming up with these ideas that really surprised me, and like just that people had these like beautiful visions and they executed on it. This is definitely one of those examples, and I thought it fits so well. And it was like this joy-based collaborative like art, and it was like I loved it. And I was actually right before we left with U-Hauls, I actually found some of the blanks. I was thrilled because I didn't have a chance to like really get to sit down with it during the event. And I know my dad didn't get to see it. My dad loves coloring. And so I gave him a blank, and maybe he'll color that in. And Matteo, do you want to just say anything about how this fits into your broader universe of conceptual art, or anything you want to tease or talk about?
What do you mean? Tell me, sorry.
Just your smiley work.
I mean, all the pieces has a concept. So this was the concept of this specific one, where like they're all smiling, and I feel like coloring is like very relaxing to me and also to others. So yeah, I wanted to be more like a piece that is also interactive with others. So that was the idea. I'll give the blank one.
I want Eddie. I want you and Akiva to like sit down together and color, man. I just want that moment.
If you pass by Station 3, I have a few spare to give to people.
Let's go. We have the ammo ready.
Nice.
But I also know on the other side of the event, we had another cool table going too. And Alyssa was kicking it with her "We're Not Really Strangers" concept. And that was fun. I'll just let you talk about it, Alyssa. What do we have going on there?
So I got the idea like I think like 2 days before the event, and I feel like anyone I've talked to knows I love the brand We're Not Really Strangers, and I love the game. It's really just like these cards with very deep questions, and it's all about connecting with people. Wait,
It's the
okay. And so I had this idea of I've been doing a lot of like abstract portraits, as you can see hanging by my desk, and I wanted to like do portraits for people to give to them, but I feel like I'm very passionate about human connection and like finding ways to really connect with people on a deep level. So I had people pick a card from We're Not Really Strangers and answer the question while I drew them. So I feel like it kind of helped me put their energy into each piece, and then I was able to give it to them. Matteo, can I show them the one I did for you and cameras?
Sure.
Just so everyone can see. This is one of the ones I did.
Let's go.
Really quick and like, yeah, I don't know, but it was just cool to be able to have like a little moment, like a one-on-one moment with somebody in the middle of the event and be able to kind of give them something that they could keep and remember the event by.
Matteo, do you feel like the piece represents you well?
With me.
Yeah,
I'm joking. Yeah, no, it's very cool. It's very cool. I'm gonna have hang it on my wall.
Yeah, I love what you guys have done like with the office. Like I just remember first coming into that office and it was like an office space, and then all of a sudden there were like plants. Alyssa exploded that back right wall. Matteo, I think, was the first one to like establish his like crazy setup in that corner. And then Molly, just like her work always laid out over the table is awesome to like peek at too. So love what you guys have done there. But on that drawing for Matteo, do you guys remember what the question was for Matteo?
Do you remember?
Let me think.
I can't remember. I asked
Yes.
it?
Wait. What you need to still learn of yourself? No, what you need to I said like to be a good person. That I'm a good person.
Oh, what is a compliment you wish you received more?
No.
Maybe something along those lines.
I don't know. I can't remember.
What do you need to give yourself more credit for?
Yes, maybe.
It
His
was-
glasses.
I think that's what it was. Something like
Was his answer his glasses?
that. No,
No.
it's that he's a good person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are a good person, man. You're also a very funny person.
Thank
You're
you.
like one of the funniest people at Station3.
I'm very reserved.
Yeah, but I think your reservedness.
We talk about this with
We did
Alice.
talk about this. I feel like when
Like,
I
I
first
first-
met Matteo, I felt like he was very reserved. He's a Virgo. So.
First the impact with me is like I can be very cold or like I don't know, not arrogant, but like I don't know.
I never thought you were arrogant. I just
No,
like,
but
you just
Yeah,
reserved.
I don't know the right word,
Yeah.
but it's just because I don't know. I don't give myself to everybody, and the first time I meet you, so yeah.
I can
I
see,
will talk about
I
that.
can see the,
I like it.
I can see like the like why you might say reserved, but I will say that one of the things I appreciate most about you is like I feel like you're quick to share your organic thoughts. Like I feel like you just let your immediate thought
For
fly.
sure, I don't have any filter. If I think something, I will tell you.
And I love that. And also like your words just like carry weight. I feel like when you speak, it's just like it's a one-liner that just like hits. So that's me that's me answering your we're not really strangers compliment challenge. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool concept too. I also we didn't finish with our peaks. I think we hit 2 peaks, which were Alyssa and Mateo's table setups. But let's throw it over to Molly. Molly, what was your peak? You're on mute.
No,
Just-
wait. Mine wasn't my table setup.
all right,
Actually, can we go to somebody else real quick? I have to transition this meeting to my phone because I'm about to
Yeah.
hop on Uber and then I'll answer.
copy that. Let's
Okay.
back to Mateo then. Mateo, what was your peak?
Mine wasn't my table setup. My peak was me having the speech and explaining my work.
Yes.
That,
Yeah,
Mine was my table setup for sure. That was my peak.
that's a great 1-2 punch there. And it was cool to see. I think Mateo, you were one of the first people to speak. So it was cool to have you like lead us off. But I think we got to throw it to Sinbad. Sinbad, what was your peak?
I didn't actually have a peak. I try to live by the philosophy that every moment should be enjoyed to the fullest. So I think I enjoy every second of the event.
That is such a Sinbad answer. Deep in philosophy. But definitely feel that. And Eddie, how about you? What was your peak?
For just too many. I feel like for me, it's hearing so many people have these really, really positive experiences, and they're all different. And like for people who had like artists who are really excited about who their newest collector is, people who made great connections at the event, people who spoke, there's just been such an outpouring of them that like each one just is really great. And like there is one particularly like fun moment that I want to highlight, which was the funny hats, which is when like my dad and stepmom have like a collection of funny hats, and I just told people that they should all grab one, and people did. And there's some really great photos of it, and it was like one of the best things was just I think knowing that like that's exactly what my dad and stepmom would have won. They wouldn't be mad that we're like rating their collection, and they came back and everyone's wearing weird hats of theirs. They were like, "Oh, great, you found funny hats," and I love that they had one. And I love that it was a group of people that was down with that.
Yeah. The people embraced the hats. Once the hats came out, like I had people coming up to me like, "Do you have a hat?" I was like,
I feel like that's first.
"What hat did everybody have?" I know Sinbad's hat aligned with his Sinbad the Sailor brand for sure. But what hat did everybody else have?
I had multiple hats throughout the night. I had the Davy Crockett one for a little bit, and then who's the other one? I think I wore the sailor hat you had for a little bit, and then I feel like I also wore another one. I wore all the hats.
Let's go. Molly had a sick hat on. I don't know if it was from the hat collection, but Molly's personal hat was dope.
Oh, that's my hat from Seattle. That's just my artist's hat. Sometimes I wear that and I feel like I'm in full character.
You look like you run shit in that hat. Like you just run the rodeo. What about you guys? So Sinbad, I know you had the sailor hat on. And then Mateo, what did you have?
I didn't have any hat, to be honest.
No hat, just fresh glasses.
Yeah.
And Eddie, what hat were you rocking?
Had the jester hat for a bit. I had bunny ears, and then I like finished the night with the Davy Crockett. And so I woke up the next day and there's a Davy Crockett hat next to my bed. And I was like, well, I feel like I should put that on before I go downstairs. That feels like
I thought it would have been hysterical. I thought you were gonna say that you woke up with it on your head and you like went to the mirror and you were just still wearing the hat. That would have been
better story.
Yeah. Well, we'll make that. We'll just say that's the story. Also, quick cut, but want to ask everybody to check us out on YouTube. Definitely grab the YouTube link from the pinned tweet above. And also, please, if you could retweet the space so that we can get as much turnout to recap this ecstatic event, then we would appreciate that. But where did we leave off with peaks? Eddie said hats on the peaks. I think we got everybody's peaks, except you, Molly.
Oh, gosh, the whole day was a peak. I think that personally though, like being able to show people my physical artwork, since I am typically since everyone is typically just sharing it on social media and you're seeing it through a screen, it's always really special when I get to sit down with somebody and just show them the physical creation, and it's all intentional and stuff, and being able to do that with a bunch of people that I knew, and then also some newer people, connecting with them for the first time over that was just really, really special to me.
Love that. It was cool to see your physicals there as well. I think you were one of the only physicals, if not the only physical, right?
Well,
Mateo.
I was, yeah,
And
Mateo had his color by number 1 of 1.
Mhm.
That's physically native, up next to my one that was downstairs. But then upstairs, I had a box of a lot of my unframed, physical finished 11 by 14s. So yeah.
I remember that. Yes, it was that downstairs corner was color by number, and then the piece that you announced, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So that was sweet. But
Without saying anything, I would highly recommend, if anybody is interested and sees Molly in person, to ask her to see some of the physicals. It really is just amazing, and it was so cool to have it. And it's a very limited house, in terms of space. We really wanted to make sure that she had the spot for physicals. And I just think it was so special. And actually, one of my neighbors who's not into crypto art came by, and he got to see Molly's physicals. And I heard since that he loved all of this. And we onboarded somebody, and I know a lot of the event he spent seeing your art and being blown away by it. And so other people get the chance, they should ask Molly.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate you.
let's go. Was that the neighbor that I think there was some guy that wandered up the stairs, and I was like, Eddie, you know him? Was it that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. I invited him.
Yep. I thought your grill master was hysterical, man.
Oh yeah, he's a college friend, and actually, he's the one who invited Tommy first. That's my neighbor. He's like, hey, he comes over a lot. He's become friends with the neighbors. He's independent relationships with my neighbors, and so he invited him first. Eddie, you should go. Also make sure you invite him. And yeah, I mean, he's amazing. He's a friend. I called on Wednesday and was like, hey man, do you think you could drive to Costco because we don't have a membership, and also could you help us rearrange the lawn? And he rented a car, drove out from the city. We filled the car almost to the ceiling with stuff. It was a small car, but it was still almost to the ceiling. And then he helped us all day. Left at 9. I mean, he's there's not many friends that we all get like that, and I'm very honored and lucky to have him as one. And it was also a really special thing to get to thank him with a piece of art that onboarded him to crypto art. And I was chatting with the artist about it. She's really excited. And so that was a altogether unexpected but extremely positive interaction, was integrating him into this world and having it kind of seem to be mutually liking each other.
Yeah, dude, I think that's awesome. You're making me like want to like I there's one thing that throughout the week I saw you guys hustling and like everybody contributing, and I was like, shoot, like I wanted to do more and more. I wish I just like had a bit more time, but I saw you guys just like it felt like you guys were in the war zone, and I remember texting you and Sinbad, and I was like, I love the war zone, boys. Like I wanted to get into the mess earlier. So it's cool to hear that you had Mike, I believe his name was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, you know, helping out on the charge there. But I think I owe you guys a peek, and I would say my peak was there was a point towards the end where Alyssa, Molly, Saul, and I were all kicking it like right by the water. We were on just like a bench right by the water, and then Molly and Alyssa were like, I think we want to go take a walk. So like the girls got up and like went for a walk. And Saul and I just like sat there kicking it. And he told me probably one of the funniest stories I've ever heard in my life that I cannot repeat. But I would say that was my highlight of the event because like I think about that and I just like crack up laughing. So cool moment there. But no, we are starting to come down on time, and I know everybody's got some busy schedules. Do you kind of want to just do a once around with any last things that you guys would like to share that we could keep an eye out for? Do we want to throw a little hint at when the next Station 3 by the Sea event is, or the next event you guys are hosting? Because, like, you know, we're all going to come and the whole
Next
world.
weekend.
You said next week?
Next weekend, yeah.
Oh, dude, let's go. Oh, wait, this Saturday, right? We still got the meetings.
We still have.
Please don't do that to my parents.
Dude, Eddie's cursing us out in his head right now. But yeah, I'll kick it to you, Eddie. Do you have any idea? Are we going to have another Station 3 by the Sea?
I would like to. There's definitely a lot of other ideas floating around about things we can do before next summer. And yeah, we're talking about them. I know Sinbad has some stuff in the cooker that is a lot more concrete if you want to talk about that, Sinbad.
Yeah, I'll speak about it generally. My collectors group is working on organizing exhibitions all over the world. So we're very close to finalizing one in Madrid, Spain, in about 7 weeks. So I hope to be able to formally announce it in public in the next couple of days, but that's in the works. So, you know, one of our goals is to onboard collectors into the space so that more people use the technology and see the potential of this artistic movement. But also, one of my personal goals is to give artists the opportunity to display their work in front of different audiences. So that's something we're working on.
Excited for that because I feel like Madrid's going to just be like a special place for you to host it. But also, I'm nicknaming you Batman from now on, Sinbad.
Sure.
That's going to stick. He's got the ominous, just like vibes. But
I'll also say, if people have ideas that they, if the people, a lot of this stuff came out of ideas that people had. And so I'm very interested in more events that connect the New York City crypto art community. They give exposure to artists and that build those meaningful connections. And so open to ideas. And I definitely would love in the summer times to have that house, become like a hub for crypto art and like personal connection. But there's 4 seasons in a year. For sure, dude. And on the house, like I literally feel like coming up to the driveway of the house, like you don't really know what's like behind it. So you don't know there's like all of this open space. And I think I feel like it was you, Eddie, that mentioned it was like almost like a dream. And it very much so feels like you're like, we're all in the world. And there's like a little side door that you could just like leave the world and you like open the side door. And this is just like the spot that you could like exit the world for a second and just like chill out before like going back into the world. That's very much so what it felt like to me. So like exceptional location there. But we'll kick it over to Alyssa. Alyssa, any things we could keep an eye out for? Any last things you want to share about the event, etc.?
Things to keep an eye out for. There's always just a ton of random things that I'm working on. There might be an upcoming drop that I'm working on next week, but I don't really want to say yet. So keep an eye out. I'll definitely tweet about it soon. And just been working on more like physical stuff, trying to make tote bags to sell in my shop and things like that. But Yeah, the event was just really fun, and I'm glad I got to connect with a lot of people that I didn't know before, or just like get to know people on a deeper level. So it was overall great vibes, and I can't wait for the next one.
Hell yeah. I think a lot of the new connections that were made at that event were just like off the charts. So it's cool to see everybody else making them and then make some myself as well. But Mateo, how about you? Any last things you want to share? Things we could keep an eye out for, and anything else about the event?
No, not really.
Great answer, man. It's an easy answer. And Molly, close us out. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry guys, my headphone like just died, so I don't know if you said my name or not.
Yeah, we hear. So we hear you clearly and said your name. Just asking you any last things you want to share.
Any last things that I'm working on or got? I mean, not really. I'm just always working on art, and stuff comes from that usually just, like, in the process. And I mean, I've been like experimenting more and more with like the reflection of light and just incorporating different types of natural and artificial light into my physical artwork. So yeah, besides that, nothing really novel or wise.
Gotcha. Sounds good. And excited for the light stuff. I remember, like, I feel like we got some cool clips of you just like talking about the ideas there. So excited for you to share that when it's ready. But hey, just want to thank, absolutely, and just want to thank you guys, Eddie, Sinbad, Molly, at and Loremi as well, for hosting and organizing this event. This was like a ridiculous time for everybody at Station 3. Outside of Station 3, it was a ridiculous time for everybody in just like the New York City art scene in general. And definitely looking forward to future events that you guys host. Want to encourage anybody in the area to follow you guys to just stay up to date on future things that you guys are working on. So we got at EA Wharton on X. We got at Sinbad the Sailor on X. We got at Molly_McCutch on X. At Ann Loremi on X, and then at Alyssa Stevens _ and at Mateo Purple as well. Also, you could, if you're doing all of that following, follow at Station 3 NYC, because they have brought all of us together and are just continuing that. There's more and more people from like this scene popping in here every day, doing tours, getting grants, and just really, really helping to build a creative startup vibe here for both artists and just like tech startups, business, etc. in Web3. So it's an exceptional place to be. While you're also doing all of that following, if you want to follow, like, you don't have to, but if you want to follow at Eminent Fine Art as well, you could do that. That would be kind of cool. And also subscribe to our newsletter as well as our YouTube channel and the other YouTube channels of Molly and Alyssa and all of us who are putting out content. A lot of content coming out of Station 3. That's a lot of plugs, so I feel like it's a good time to end it, guys.
Also, come to Station 3 if you're in New York tonight. We are hosting, Bob is hosting like his generative art event tonight. So come over.
Hell yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Monthly Gen Art and Wine and Love event that's popping out tonight. So definitely come by. Energy at the last one was crazy, so expecting this to just be even more so. But thanks to everybody for joining, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Bye.
Ciao.